We're just supposed to factor these. I didn't want you guys to sketch these, but 25x squared minus 10x minus 24. Here's how you know when to use chunking or not to use this, okay? Or Khan Academy calls this by substitution. I really do not want to do, well, A, B, and C, it's a trinomial, and then half of 2 is 1, so I'm going to use my x box. I don't want to use x box factoring, because think about it, guys. Look, negative 24 times 25 is some really big number, right? Like 600 and something. And like, do I really want to think of two numbers that multiply to be 600 something and add to be negative 10? That's a lot of numbers. So I'm going to choose to use factoring by grouping, factoring by chunking, and that works because I see the 25 and then the 10. So I'm going to pick W to be 5x. So I have 5x squared minus 2 times 5x minus 24. And then I'm just going to apply my substitution here. So I have W squared minus 2 times W minus 24. And then I can just put that into my x now. I have A times C is negative 24. B value is negative 2. My two numbers are 6 and 4. This is negative, so which one is negative? 6. Yep. So I have W minus 6, W plus 4. And then I just put my substitution back in. So I'm going to get 5x minus 6, 5x plus 4 is my answer. That was question 1A. This one's going to be a little bit longer because they're asking us to ask you guys to basically factor, identify the zeros, or solve for x, and then graph it. I got 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Automatically, that's telling me to put it in by grouping. So put it into your box. Remember, we talked about using the letter Z. Fill the inside. Once I got stuff on the inside, now I'm trying to get stuff on the outside. I got x squared. I got an x. I'm not sure if this is going to be a positive 4 or a negative 4. And how do I know? I can multiply to check my answer. X times x squared, x cubed. So this has to be a negative. Negative 4 times x squared gives you negative x. Negative 4x squared. And then this way, same thing, minus 9. I can multiply, check my answer. So this is going to become x minus 4, x squared, minus 9. Now, I left a gap here, because here, hopefully you picked up that you have to factor again. How do you know? If you put a 0x, complete your x method, A times C, B value is 0. Your two numbers are 3 and negative 3. That means my answer is going to be x minus 4, x plus 3, x minus 3. This is my answer factored. How do I identify zeros? How do I solve for that? Solve means just get x by itself. So all you have to do is just set each of these equal to 0. I'm going to add 4. X equals 4. Subtract 3. X equals negative 3. Add 3. X equals 3. And then I use those numbers to graph it. 4, negative 3, positive 3. I look at the degree of the polynomial. Highest degree is a 3. It's cubic. I also know the constant, 36, is going to be way up here. And that is an odd, so I'm going to start down, end up. And each of these have a multiplicity of 1. That's the exponent outside the parentheses, so it's going to be a shoot through. Maybe I put my arrow somewhere down here. It's going to go way up there, right? Positive 36, shoot through, and somehow end like that. So factored, identify the zeros, and there's my sketch. Question C, we have to factor a higher degree polynomial. X to the 4th minus 25x squared plus 144. I have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, which basically means that I have an A, B, and C. And then half of 4 is 2, so I can use both my X and my box. A times C is 144. My B value is negative 25. Those are the two numbers that multiply to be 144, but add to be negative 25.
16 and 9.
What is it? 16 and 9. Good job. I could not think of those numbers on my own. And they're both negative?
Yeah.
Good job. Remember, these two are splitting this term, which means that I have to add x squareds. Does that make sense? Negative 16x squared plus a negative 9x squared. Negative 16, negative 9 gives me negative 25. And then I just need to fill out the rest of the box. So x to the 4th, 144. Let's pull them out. Class my greatest common factor. X squared. How about here? X squared. How about here? There's your hint right there. Negative 16. And here. Ooh, tricky problem. Tricky. X squared minus 16. X squared minus 9. Why did I call it tricky? Because those are the difference of square problems, right? Let me show you the faster one. Ready? Ready? It's going to go by so fast. Square root of x squared is x and x. The square root of 16 is 4 and 4. And then one's positive, one's negative. Now, if you don't understand what I just did there, you can just add a 0x here, and then do A times C. 1 times negative 16, B value 0, 4 and negative 4. Same thing on this side. That's going to become x plus 3, x minus 3. And that's our answer factored. X plus 4, x minus 4, x plus 3, x minus 3. Alright, you have a trinomial, 1, 2, 3. Class, what is half of 3? 1.5. So you can't use X box yet. Which means you have to take out a greatest common factor, GCF. I'm going to put the GCFs in here. I think I copied the problem down wrong. That should be a 3x. So I have 3 times 9 times x, x, x. This one's going to be 9 times 2 times x, x. And this one is just going to be 3x. Look what I did. I made a mistake. You might make this mistake. I have a 3, 3, and this is a 9 and a 2, which means I need to go back and change that to be what? 6 and 3. That means I have a 3 and an x, 3 and an x, 3 and an x. Okay, here is a classic mistake. Now, we're going to write everything that's not in pink, so I have 9x squared, 6 times x minus 6x, because that was a negative. And then over here, you have nothing, right? The answer is 1. Why is it a plus 1? Because if you distribute, you have to multiply 3x times 1 to give you 3x. And then here I'm just going to use my x box. Inside the parentheses, that's a 9. B value is negative 6. My two numbers are 3 and 3, negatives. I have 9x squared, positive 1. I need to get numbers on the outside here. 3x, 3x. This will be a negative 1. This is a positive, so this will be negative 1. And then I get 3x times 3x minus 1, 3x minus 1. And I have 2 of those. What does that mean? You write them twice. 3x minus 1 squared. And that is your answer for 1D. I'm going to take out a greatest common factor from 1E. That would be a 16. So I'm going to be left with x cubed minus, what do you get? 3? Oh, that's bad. Don't do that. 16 is probably a bad one, right? No, I'm going to guess it's 2. Yep, it's 2. 2 times 8x cubed minus 27. Because 2 times 27 gives me 54. And then if I take the cube root of each of these, that will give me a and b value. So that would be 2x, and that would be a 3. So this is my a, this is my b. Then if I write down my formula, this would be a minus b, SOAP, a squared plus ab plus b squared. Right? Where's my SOAP? Same math operation, opposite, and always positive. And then I have to just do my substitution, but be careful. A is 2x, so that's 2x minus 3. Okay, here's the hard part. A is 2x. So if I put in 2x here, this is 2x squared, which gives me 4x squared. A times b, so 3 times 2x gives me 6x. And then b is 3, so 3 squared is 9. So this would be my answer if you had factored 1e. As Francis just clarified, this was supposed to be a plus sign, so let's see how that changes the problem. This would be a plus. This is going to be a minus, because same, opposite, so minus, always positive. So that means this one will be a plus, this one will be a big minus sign, 4x squared minus 6x, and that'll be plus 9. So I wrote down the problem wrong, now we did it right. Thanks, Francis. In 1F, factor each polynomial over the set of real numbers. Use the factors to sketch a graph. We won't sketch it. I really want you to practice the factoring on this one. Seems like a lot of students are stuck on which types of problems to factor. I asked you guys to take a picture of the flow chart. maybe tomorrow we'll give you guys time in class to add the flowchart to your formula sheets. Classes count the number of terms. Ready, set, go. Okay, and then half of 4 is 2. Okay, this tells us that you cannot add a 0x to use your Xbox method. So the very first thing we should have done is what? Yep, greatest common factor. 7 times x, 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 x. 7 times 8 times x. Class, what's the greatest common factor? Yep. So 7x times x cubed minus 8. Here in yellow, how many terms do you have? If we add a 0x, class, what's half of 3? 1.5, which is not there, right? So from Thursday's lesson, we recognize that if you can take the cube root of each of those. Did you guys notice I'm not taking the cube root of negative 8? It's just 8. So we learned Thursday's lesson. Take the cube root, get A and B, write down the formula, substitute, and simplify, and make sure to use SOAP. Class, what's the cube root of x cubed? X. The cube root of 8? 2. So now my A is x, B is 2. Cross the aisle, partner B, tell partner A the formula you need. Don't forget SOAP. Feel free to look at your formula sheet. Stephanie? Your formula?
Sure.
Do you have your formula sheet?
Yeah.
You weren't here on Thursday, right? Melissa D, formula?
A minus A squared plus AB plus B squared.
Good. The formula for the A's and the B's are exactly the same, but Melissa recognized that this is called a difference of cubes, so you do S stands for what, class? O? Opposite of this one, which is positive, and this one? Always positive. And then now we just do our substitution. Brianna, do our substitution for us. What's your A value? Look above. Your A value is what?
Oh, X.
Yes. B value? A squared. So what do I put there? If A is equal to X, and I put an X here, X squared is? Brianna?
The X squared and
A times B. So your A value is X, and your B value is 2. So you're just multiplying those two. X times 2 is 2x. Your B value is square. What's your B value?
plus
2 squared. And 2 squared is? 4. When you're doing the sum and difference of cubes, this one is prime, so that's your answer. How do you recognize the sum and difference of cubes? After we took out the greatest common factor, can you take the cube root? If you can, those are your A and your B values, and just substitute in your formula, and then simplify.